For 25 years, he has worn a variety of creative hats. His experience covers many phases of TV cinema production, including writing. And humor plays a very important part in his work. Today, he joins me, Angela Palazzolo, on Not for Writers Only. Welcome, Frank Kromer.
Thanks for having me.
Frank, at what age did you become fascinated by TV and cinema?
Well, I guess my first babysitter was the television set, 1955, when I was born, and had two older brothers that, of course, beat me up like every older brother does, but they throw me in front of the set, you know, and I'm watching Captain Kangaroo and suckling at the glass teeth. Love it.
When did you write your first script, and for whom did you write it?
It was in 7th grade. I was 12 years old, and we had to do an English project, and a friend of mine, whose father was a dentist, had some money, said, I have a Super 8, let's shoot a little movie. I'd always wanted to do that, so we took the classic Romeo and Juliet and rewrote it for 4 boys, age 12, and we played all the parts. In fact, I played Juliet, but thank God there's no surviving film. And it just took off. The local public opinion in Westerville wrote up an article, and everybody in school knew me, and I said, hey, that's what I want to do. I like the fame, and, you know, I'm a little nerd guy, and all of a sudden, I'm a film star in my own little school. So that's when I decided, hey, that's what I'm going to do.
Now, as you got older, did you make a plan of how you would achieve your goals?
Right. The next big move was, I think we had the first ever film company for junior achievement. And I don't even know if junior achievement's around anymore, but that was a great thing where most people were making clothes hangers, and they thought our company was going to fail because filmmaking, they said, well, you'll make the film for $40, but how will we see revenue? And I said, well, take it to my high school, because they already know me, you know, from the film that got around when I was in junior high. We'll show it there and charge money. And sure enough, the teachers allowed it. We grossed like $400, but because they didn't think we were going to be successful, and we were working with inner city kids who all couldn't work on the movie, they made those little magnetic refrigerator things. Well, that part of the company, paying their salaries, bankrupted us, but we kind of thought this was going to happen anyway, so we were the ones that came up with the name of the company, which was Titanico. And it was right on the money. So we got a little stock market, and it's good to show you what business. I mean, it's a great thing, junior achievement. So our stock went up when our movie profits came in, and then it toilet as soon as, and so we learned how to become bankrupt, and that's important for any filmmaker to find out right away that, hey, it doesn't always fly.
Now, part of your wanting to obtain this dream was to attend Ohio State, and you did. You obtained a degree in photography and cinema, correct?
Right. When the film production was still going, they had one of the good film schools. Compared to USC and UCLA, where you're going to spend a lot, I wanted to go to Northwestern. At the time, it was $15,000 a year. You make your own curriculum, but great, for $15,000, I could do my entire Ohio State, and of course, that was the way to go. So I was just glad they had a program, and I'm sorry that it's gone now.
Right.
But, yeah.
Great. Now, at the age of 22, before you got involved with your film career, you began what you describe as your off-and-on stand-up comedy career. For that, you wrote your own jokes, correct?
Right.
Where have you performed?
Well, it's funny, the first time I performed, and it was mainly because I saw Steve Martin in concert at Ohio State Mershon Auditorium, and then I was with the Bug. I thought, well, if people are thinking that's funny, my sense of humor is similar in an art humor kind of sense, where you're making not the one-liners that are popping, but things that you have to think about for a minute, and like, oh, he's making fun of this. And so I went on the first time at Bernie's Bagels, May 1st, 1979. I started off with a routine because my whole point was more like performance art. And that's just because I didn't have the funny one-liners to start. So I started off, I came on, I had rubbed onions in my eyes, and I came on late, and my friend announced me that earlier that I was having some terrible emergency and not getting to the show on time. So everybody's like, what happened to him? And then they see me coming out, my eyes are red, and I'm crying, and I go, I'm sorry, I just got a call from Texas where see what a great actor I am, too? I just got a call from Texas, my younger brother. He was riding a motorcycle through a field of corn, and there was a terrible fire, and, well, you know, the field, and he's dead. You know, and they're believing this for half, and then I started, and I just looked up, and Jimmy, Jimmy cracked corn, and I don't care. The bastard's blown away. Everyone. And then we were off and running. So that was a start. But I played most of your clubs in Columbus, and when I went out to San Diego, I was a regular at the Improv. Sometimes I was on stage. no, but I was a comedy waiter. I'd work as a waiter to make money, but then the nights when they let us amateurs on, I got on.
When you write comedy, timing is very important, and when you write...
You know the secret of comedy, right?
No.
Well, ask me what the secret is.
What is the
timing? Okay.
Wait, I didn't ask you yet. What is the secret
timing.
of...
Thank you. That's an old public domain joke. It will.
Okay, can I ask my question?
Yeah, go ahead. You are the host. Okay.
When you write stand-up comedy, timing is very important. How do you integrate that into the actual comedy in the writing of it?
Well, it's usually a set-up joke. And when you come out, especially now that you've had 15 years of stand-up comedy and people really know, they either want to be transfixed by you, so when you come on, there's one guy that comes on now and he does all these effeminate things, and then he says something really mean, and it's really funny, you know, because you're watching him just for it. But otherwise, you've got to come on in that first line. You better have a grabber because they're going to lose you real soon.
What do you think is the most difficult aspect of humor writing?
Finding the right combinations that's just perfect.
Combinations of what exactly?
Well, you might find a word that you said the first time and you got to laugh, and then later you refine it and go, one word makes a complete change. I'll just give you an example. The last line that I always used when I was on stage more often than I am now was I'd come up and act really shy and say, I just got into show business because I'm shy. In fact, I'm taking a self-assertiveness class. Well, my mommy makes me. And see, when I first wrote it, it was mother, and then it changed to mom, and then mommy is like really infantile, and so that works even better yet. But you know, you go through this whole thing. What's the right word? And then holding for laughs and finding, you know, that's judging your audience. You have to know.
Could you give us a sample of your comedy routine?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Now, okay, and you did give me a little introduction.
Yeah, why don't we do it?
Okay.
Do you want me to stand up for?
I think so. Why don't you stand up and I'll do a drum roll. And now a man who needs no introduction, just better material. Let's have a big hand and no fist for Columbus' own Frank Kromer.
Thank you, could you hold it down, all two of you? Thanks. You know, there's a new trend to go back to the old urban cowboy days. I was in a bar last night. It was really wild. It's called the Bullwhip Lounge. At the door, they didn't stamp me. They branded me. Boy, that hurt. And they had a 2-fight minimum. They didn't even have one of those, you know, electric bowls that they used to have. Instead, they had this big dog. I think it had fleas or something. It was rabbit or something. It was moving around a lot, and I jumped on, and I rode it for a long time. And that's why I smell so good today. Thank you. You know, and then I'm trying to change. I'm trying to become more macho. I quit smoking Eves. Nah, I don't smoke them at all. I do Camels now. I don't even smoke them. I eat them. That's it. I changed my beer, too. You know, these wimpy light beers, not for me anymore, man. Give me Schlitz. Give me the bowl. In fact, I walked up to the bartender last night and I said, yo, man, give me some bowl. He looked at me and goes, oh, okay. You're good looking. Funny, too. Gee.
Thanks, Frank. Humor seems to be a really important component to your life. What has drawn you to humor, do you think?
It's just, if you have bad looks or anything, you can make it in comedy. If you're funny. And I'm living proof.
In 1986, you were a reporter for the Southwest Star. What kinds of stories did you write for them?
I signed on and I was making a big $20 per article. And they had me cover the Fort Bend Independent School District, which was the second richest county school board in the nation. So I was writing really stiff articles about what was going on with the school board, but lots of money was exchanging hands. So to me, that was a real challenge, making that interesting to the average viewer or reader.
Did humor sometimes play into your work with the Star?
Well, actually what came about after they knew that I was for real and could kick out the straight articles, they said, okay, you want to do something different? I said, yeah, let me do a humor article, so they let me create Being Frank,
Being Frank,
which is a play on
your
being
name.
honest, and yeah,
and
for
your
you
name.
viewers that couldn't figure that out, I'll just give you a quick example of one of my more fun articles. They let me do anything, which was a real mistake. This one's about being overweight. The bigger the better, it's called. When I ripped out the seams of my sweatpants by merely putting them on, I decided I was packing too much weight. I thought about it. All America is overweight, so why should I worry about an extra 10 or 15 pounds? I can still see my feet. Then I remembered Berger, a 300-pound butterball pal that I roomed with in college. His obesity never bothered him. He always said his greatest fear was gravity. He existed on deluxe pizzas in the area parlors that loved him for it. They would call him for orders. One morning I tripped over his planetoid body on my way to the bathroom. He had binged the night before, and 3 empty pizza boxes were strewn about his bulk. The picture of gluttony, a half-eaten piece of pie in one hand and a 2-liter Coke in the other. Berger was burping in his sleep when I fell over him. I burned with disgust at his lack of respect for himself. I said to him, don't you know there's a skinny guy inside of you trying to escape? Yeah, I know, he offered. I ate him last night. It was the delivery boy. He always made me laugh when I was serious. So in the olden days of yore, if you think back, to be heavy was desired, even regal. To be large meant that one could well afford to be plump. So what's the big deal? I tried to cut down on second helpings, but I just ate bigger first portions. I tried to lift weights, but I broke out into a sweat and fainted. And like comedian Martin Mull, I jog, but the ice cubes keep popping out of my drink. So being a bigger Frank isn't so bad. There's just more of me to love. Yeah.
Now, during the time you were in Houston, you also wrote, directed, and produced a campaign for the nonprofit group Clean Houston. Tell us about that. What was that about, and how did it come about?
I was teaching acting and being a casting director for movies at the Houston studio. One of my students was a guy that looked like Crocodile Dundee, and the movie was real big. It was 1987. And he would always get this, and he says, I want to learn how to be this guy. So I said, look, go out, watch the movie 5 or 10 times, start buying some of the things. He bought the hat, he bought some of the things. And then I thought, hey, I can use this guy somehow. So I wanted to get known for television production. I went to various nonprofit groups, and one of the first ones I went to was Clean Houston, which is in charge of their anti-littering campaign. Well, they loved the fact that I was going to do it for free, and that I had a guy that would be the perfect spokesman. They wouldn't have to pay Paul Hogan millions of dollars. So I came up with a campaign that was based on the Laurel and Hardy line, and so the campaign was entitled Littering is a Fine Mess, because they were going to start fining people for throwing trash as they're driving. And then I developed the campaign, and we went out and shot it, and about 2 weeks later we were on the air in Houston.
I see. And you brought some samples here with us. Do you have to set them up, or can we just show them?
No, hopefully they're so simple that anybody can pick it up.
Okay, then let's roll it. Okay. Those were great spots, Frank.
Thank you.
Okay, you were in Texas, and then you moved back here. And when you did move back here, you took up pen in hand or computer, and you wrote a novel called Take a Bullet.
Right.
What drew you to that genre?
Well, I just got to tell you what happened until then. I had a friend that I was working for as a private detective that opened his own agency. And to me, being a private detective is like acting, except you're trying to get information. And most people will talk to you, because if they don't think you're coming after them for whatever, you can get them to talk. But I realized that I was again getting away from my ultimate goal, which is to be a Woody Allen, where you have writing and directing your own material. And I had a book inside me that, in fact, it came out. There it is.
Let me hold it up.
Yeah.
We're going to hold
Yeah,
up.
that's
This
not
is
like
the manuscript of Take a Bullet,
unpublished as yet.
unpublished as yet, but
Look how big it is.
look how thick this book is. Unpublished as yet, but you see it here first in its unpublished format.
And that's
Take a Bullet by Frank Kromer.
And that's a year of my life right there. What had happened, I came back and I started the book because for one thing, I thought, I'm always thinking Hollywood, right? I thought you have more credibility if your book gets published and they pick up a hardcover book rather compared to a screenplay, which they're getting tossed at them all the time. They want something they can read and enjoy, and then therefore then you give them the idea, oh, that would be a great movie. And of course, I would be attached to the project and I could write the thing. So that was my big ulterior motive. But when I was in Houston, I had the worst time of my life. At one point, the Houston studios got dropped from Hollywood. They did some problems with the unions, and they lost their big accounts. So my penthouse that was looking so good with all my activities casting just went in the toilet real quick. And it got to the point where I had to move from my $900 a month place to a $100 space that only had a toilet and nothing else. It was because the warehouse part of it they were converting into apartments. And when the studio got cut off, we got cut off. So I'm living in this hellhole with one light and a toilet and thinking this is the end of my life, there's nothing left. And then things started to change real quick. Again, went up. But I thought using that mood, I can make the whole project about a down on his luck. And so I just took creative license and changed it. So if anybody knows about Houston at all, they were booming great until 1979. And then oil, there was the glut, and everything started going in the toilet. So I wrote, and the city's like a symbol for the main character. When it goes in the toilet, this guy who thought everything was rosy could never change. He's in the same spot, except I made it so he's living on the top of a warehouse that, by the grace of a Mexican guard that lets him climb up there and sleep, that's where it starts. So he has to, so it's rags to riches kind of story.
And it has sort of a Texas backdrop,
yes,
would
totally.
you say?
With, you know, major characters that are Mexican, and I still believe it would make a great film, but the whole point is I got the book done a year later, and then I went through 6 months of being rejected, where, you know, you get your Reader's Digest, and it says who you can submit your thing through without having an agent.
Digest, yeah.
So my plan was I sent half of the book in its entire manuscript, because I thought they had to judge the whole work, to houses that published books that were like mine. Mine's like...
Which is the right...
Yeah, it's the only
way of doing
strategy
it,
you should, because then it can relate it to something. So my style is kind of, writing is like Elmore Leonard, the crime novelist, and it's like Woody Allen in the lines and the, you know, the humor of it. So I did that, and I sent half of them to agents, and it was just nothing. I had one lady that says, yeah, you're right, kind of like Woody Allen. Sorry, we can't use it. And so after going through that process, I realized, okay, put the book away, and I'll go back to doing what I can do, which is what brought me pretty much here.
Because of the format differences between writing a script and a book, did you find that it was a challenge to switch like that?
Yeah. I mean, once I wrote the book, that's when I really felt that I was a true writer, because I had the discipline to every day, whether I was feeling blank or not. My big goal was at least do 1 to 5 pages, even if it really was horrible and I knew I wouldn't use it. And, you know, when you force yourself like that, you do get some nice surprises that come out of nowhere. And the main thing, like, the best advice I always got that I would say to anybody, start with the ending. If you know where it's going, then you can drop it back and then take it to that
Is that
point.
what you did?
Sure did.
All right, and it is a humorous book.
Hopefully.
Could you read something from it?
Yeah, okay. This is a chapter. One of the main characters is a lifelong bachelor. I don't know where I got that, but I have 4 brothers that are all married, and it scares me. And that's where this
You're a
bachelor.
okay.
Yeah, and so that's I came up with a chapter titled "The Terror of Marriage," where the main protagonist is talking to his friend about why he's terrified of marriage. It goes something like this. It's just too easy to fall into. Guys are always falling in love everywhere. We take things sexually. If the good-looking teller at the bank smiles at us, we think she's hot for us. It doesn't matter that she smiled at everybody else the same way 50 times before. We think she's got it bad for us. Women are really the unemotional ones until you convince them that you're sincere. And when I get to that point, when I know the woman has got it bad for me, I take her for granted. I'm going to fall in love when I walk out the door, so why worry? I don't try to be so cold and calculating about the whole scene, but I think it's true that if you let yourself commit to just one female of the great feast of women, you'll soon be facing the terror of marriage. As soon as you pop the deadly question, she's reeling you in. That quick romantic elopement that you always talked about turns into a royal wedding complete with 300 people you don't like, and that's just your side of the family, and another $5 grand down the toilet for a drunken reception that lasts 2 hours and you won't remember anyway unless your nerd cousin videotapes it, and you pay for it because her dad popped for the wedding, so it's only fair. Then she ropes you into a house and a new car, so you are a slave to those payments and her wish is to have the American dream like her Barbie and Ken did. But it's never enough. She needs a new wardrobe so she can wear something different every day of your new life together. Hey, but she's not selfish. She spends money on she spends your money on a new wardrobe of clothes that you don't like for you too. And then comes the inevitable. The magic of sex wears off. It just disappears. She becomes the reluctant magician who only pulls a rabbit out of the hat if you've been a good hubby. And after not seeing that damn rabbit for months on end, you really want her to pull it out of the hat. So she's got you. Sure, you could run off to another woman who might not be so stingy with a damn bunny, but you've got a stake in the first Houdini, and the new she-magician could turn your life into a real bad trick. And that's not even mentioning the sick bunny she could have that turns your magic wand into a nasty frog kind of creature with warts and worse.
Thanks,
So,
Frank.
this is the last
Okay,
story.
all right,
So
go
you
ahead.
stick by your first choice. The chain isn't so bad as security. You have someone who loves you for every moment of every day for the rest of your entire life.
I'm
Good.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No, that's all right.
you, but that powerful, pretty powerful,
Yeah, it's an indictment that,
right from the gut.
yeah.
You also attended Otterbein College, right? And you called yourself the oldest living freshman there. What did you take there?
I radio, a couple quarters of that, and television.
Okay. And you also did radio work for one of the stations here in the city. What was that about?
Well, I'm currently working at QFM in the research department, well, at least until this show airs.
Uh-huh.
And,
And let's see, you've done quite a bit, and about a year ago you began a soap opera parody, and tell us about that. What exactly are your plans for it?
well, I have a friend in California that's was my talent agent here in Ohio that's moved out there, and he was doing casting for one of the shows, and he said whenever I get it finished to send it out to him. So Living for Today is the title of it. It's in the vein of an old show called Soap and Mary Hartman. It's just, it's more or less making fun of soap operas, but it's kind of hard to parody something that's already so ridiculous.
Now the question is, do we have time to show a bit from it? I think we do. Roll it.
What is it, Cowlick?
It's her. The girl I intend to marry.
She's gorgeous. I could eat her with a spoon. Oh, she's the most beautiful babe on earth.
Let us go to her. I love the way the autumn sun matriculates through her hair.
Yes. She is but a vision from God's own palette of beauty.
What are you looking at? I said get out of here, you dweeb. how it creeps. I go to Oslo. Can't you figure it out? A scatter.
Thanks, Frank, for showing that. What kinds of plans do you have in the future?
Well, I want to finish this pilot. We only have about 3 more scenes to shoot. I'm sorry to say for all you actors that have been helping me, but it's really tough when you're not paying people to work around their schedules. And one of the scenes involves a guy getting shot, and it's really involved to do a squib and blood and all that.
A squib? What's that?
That's an explosive pack that blows out, and you put blood in front of it so to blow it out to seem like a thing. That's a special effect, and it just takes me months to even find the guy that's going to do it and get him on the same schedule. If you're paying people, you can get them there. So I just want to get this done, send it out to California for possible inclusion in the Fox lineup, which is my kind of network.
All right.
And the other show that I got going, Loveline, it's almost finished. It's a new thing for video dating. It's
What's that about?
got a real good-looking host. Actually, the guy that's the Viper on the radio, on the Blitz, he's a blonde-looking guy. He's just going to come out and introduce people, and you'll see quick 2-minute interviews with a person. And if you want to call them, you call them.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, anytime. I really enjoyed it.
And so glad that you could be here today, too. If you have any comments about or suggestions for this program, or if you would like to be on the mailing list for the Columbus Writers Conference to be held in September, please write P.O. Box 20548, Columbus, Ohio 43220. Come back soon.